one day marketers will be doing marketing for AI.
I feel like people have stopped giving a shit about the written word. When they see AI content, they just see AI content and they're like, this is the same as that.
I see the future that we won't really spend time outside of, for example, ChatGPT or Claude or our preferred chatbot. It's like we will take the actions there, and also the AI chatbot will take actions for us as well.
Wait, you're not putting in the prompt, design the best possible content brief, you're an SEO expert, go.
No, it definitely doesn't work. If you're and if you see it as an SEO, you will hate the app. If we use AI in a proper workflow or in a pipeline, you can even generate well-structured articles. But at the end, I still believe that we need a human editor to view this, refine this, and then publish it.
AI Marketing Podcast.
Yo, we got Amin Foroutan in the house. How we doing?
Good.
You just delivered a talk, you killed it. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm really feeling relieved now because it was a live demo for my first conference ever. So it's like I was taking too much risk, I would say.
A little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, there was a glitch as well. So actually it was like for a moment backend got crashed, and then I had to reset it live on there. So that was funny, but everybody clapping. It was it was.
But when Zuckerberg he launched the Meta glasses, same thing, right?
Yeah, that was.
It doesn't work live.
Yeah,
that's always the most.
That's the nature of demos, I would say.
Demo,
so.
Sure.
But when you tackle it, it's done. You feel okay. It was great.
Nice.
So I'm really happy, and I received a lot of good feedback from people. So
very good. Very good. So let's unpack. Let's talk a bit about. So what type of clients do you work with?
So let me think. If we're talking about the size of the client, so usually they have I would say. How would I say? I like to talk about the size of them in terms of the clicks and the number of URLs that they have, and it's a range. There's a range. So, for example, it's from, I would say, maybe 10,000 pages up to I've worked with 200 million URLs that they have. So it's some of them are e-commerce, some of them are really specific niches, for example, cosmetic. There are really various types of clients. I would say I'm not. For example, some people say I only work on e-commerce, I only work in this niche. I would say. If the project is really interesting for me, I will work on it. Sometimes the work that I do is not really SEO. It's like they say, okay, this is the taxonomy of our website. It's really broken. We have lots of old URLs and we don't know what to do with it. And we'll say, okay, there's no blueprint here, but we will find a way. And then in a, for example, 3 months or 6 months process, I will say, okay, these are the steps that we need to take in order to only build a solution for you and give the answer to your question. So it's like, the final answer is I don't have a specific type of clients in it.
Yeah.
And the specific
that's the
type
answer.
of task.
Yeah. Different kinds of clients, bigger sites.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. So we were talking before, you said your model is sort of, you work with clients, and when you find an opportunity, when they need something specific and you see some commonalities across your client pool, you build some custom SaaS. So what kind of problems are you seeing that they're facing, and what are you doing about it in terms of what you're building?
Okay, so one of the things that I really, each client have their own specific problems. So that's one thing. But one of the biggest things that I see is really in common is that creating content. So doing the keyword research, creating good content, and having a good topical authorities. These are the problems that they have. And honestly, the problem that I see here is that as an SEO, I'm not expert in all of the areas. Like if a client works on the fitness area, or another one is about medicine, some of are about travel or hospitality. So I don't have all of the knowledge here to help them. That's where I think, okay, maybe we need a better solution here. So for example, that we extract a large number of keywords and then we process them properly in order to see what are the ideas that they can create for the content that are really having search demand as well. So that's the one way that I think about the problems that my clients have, and one of the problems that is really in common with different clients that I see.
So let's unpack that even deeper. So when you have especially a big site, right? They already have a lot of content, right? If you're going to put net new content on the site, how do you make sure you're not cannibalizing existing articles that are already published on the website? And then once you come up with your topics, what do you think is the key to really creating the best possible content brief around that topic to be able to explore it so that the content will actually not just read well, but also rank well on Google?
Yeah, actually that's a really great thing. And in real world, actually, I faced this because I had a client with 2,600, for example, articles on the website. And I also suggested 800 new topics there. And I wanted to make sure we're not, telling them create another article on a topic that they already have. And what I did in this case was that, so for those like 800 new topics that I discovered there with my methodology, what I did is that I took their names of the clusters and also the titles of the articles that they already had, and then I turned them into embeddings and then did a kind of comparing the similarity score between these two, and to understand, for example, if for cluster A, is there any topic on their website? So we compared this one with all of the 2,600 existing article titles to see if there's a high match with a relevant similarity score. If it's there, then I would like put that in front of this, and then I would also manually check that as well to see if this makes sense or not, and if the performance of the existing article is good enough or no. Maybe they need to revamp the existing article. So that similarity check, I think, is a good thing. Another way of doing it, I would say, is that maybe we can, I've never thought about it. Actually, today somebody mentioned it. I think, yeah, it makes sense. So initially, from their initial list of keywords, we can remove any keyword that has a high similarity match with the existing keywords that our client is ranking for. So I think both ways work, but I still prefer the second way because I think that layer, if we check things in that layer, that would be more precise for us.
Cool. So, okay, so that's how we eliminate existing content, but what about building a really good content brief? How did you approach that problem?
So actually, today I also showed it to everyone. So it's like, for me, some people will say, okay, this is my list of keywords, this is my article topic, create a content brief in one prompt. I would say this is a big no, because this is not what we really want to see as SEOs. How I think about it.
Wait, you're not putting in the prompt, design the best possible content brief, you're an SEO expert, go.
No, definitely doesn't work. If you see it as an SEO, you will hate the output.
I laugh so hard.
So yeah, what I do actually here is that I have a workflow or pipeline that has at least 10 different steps. And in these 10 different steps, I start with, for example, I feed all of the keywords to the LLM. It's okay, these are my keywords, and tell me if you were about to search for these keywords with only one term, what would that term be? For example, it says, web SEO agency, for example, okay? And then from this, I will search a search engine in the pipeline with an API. So I will get the top 15 results of SERP, and then I will feed them to an LLM and say, okay, for my goal, for my blog structure that it's included in the prompt, it's included in prompt, which of these, select 5 of these 15 articles that you think make sense for getting inspired from them. And it selects 5 of them, and then from there I will scrape the content of those 5 articles, feed it to the model. I will say, tell me what is the summary of this, tell me what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses based on the topic that we were working on. So now we're doing a kind of competitor analysis. And the next step, I will extract all of their H1s and H2s and H3s for the article to understand how the overall heading structure of the competitors look. I will select 2 of the 5 for inspiration, which is the best. I mean, I will not, the LLM will select based on the logics that we have in the prompt. So now we have done a really good competitor analysis. We have said what are the weaknesses and the strengths of the top ranking articles, and also what is the best and well-structured heading structure of them. And from there, I will feed this information to an LLM again in the pipeline. And I will ask, okay, give me like an article information section, I will call it, that has like article titles, it had the aim, the persona, and also competitor analysis part to say why we should make this, and also data-driven decision, why we should write the decision based on the data. So for example, we're feeding it with keyword search volume and information like that, and based on that data, it will also adjust, should we really write an article for this or not, and how our article should be different from the competitors, because we already did that analysis. Once this is done, I will call it article information is here. I will fit this plus the keywords plus the heading structures to 2 LLMs, like for example, I do ChatGPT and Claude, and I will ask them, okay, based on this information, give me H1, H2s, and H3s, and for each of the H2s, give me purpose of this, target keywords. I'm already feeding all of this information to this, and once it's done, I will process this H2 by H2. For each of the H2s, I will have a prompt, and then I will get the output. So it's like not for all of them with the same prompt. Again, here, I will break it down to like 6 or 7 different prompts, 1 per H2. And then once this is done, I will have output from OpenAI, output from Claude, and then I will like anonymize them and say, we have A and B. Hey, ChatGPT, or hey, OpenAI, what do you think? Which one is better based on this structure that I'm considering for my blog? And it would say, this is A, for example, is selected because this is my reasoning. And usually I think with this process, we have a really strong and relevant content brief that if you hand it over to your content team, they will definitely love it. And I've shared this with my clients, with their content teams, and they said, this is even better quality than what our team was manually doing, and it's much faster. So it's like in 1 minute or 2 minutes, they will have an output that usually need to spend maybe a couple of days at least with your teams.
So are you also including in those prompts, are you instructing it or using custom GPTs that have micro semantics in the way that they're trained so that the content, when it's constructed at the, at the final form, that it obeys all of the sort of micro semantic best practices for SEO?
So not really. It's like, for example, because we're here in the content briefs, I'm giving more instructions and ideas to the writer. So it's like, but in it, for example, I'm including keywords that should be included there, or purpose, or what to be mentioned in under each of the 8 But it's like that part of it, maybe it's something that is missing and I should be thinking about it and adding it to the work. But yeah, the honest answer is I never thought about it, but also that's something that I can think about it further as well.
The other thing that we learned when we were trying to think about this problem is essentially the final goal, what we're looking for is to create a piece of content that is going to be deciphered by a search engine, and they essentially take that content and turn it into a knowledge graph to understand all the triples and the construction of the knowledge within that piece of content. And so our essential responsibility is, if we're going to create the best possible end artifact of text, we essentially have to create the best possible knowledge graph in the beginning. And that comes from information retrieval. How do we do comprehensive information retrieval around this topic, using the SERPs, but also using other data sources to build the most complete knowledge graph of information that represents this kind of topical universe in the best possible way? And then from that knowledge graph, we have to figure out, how do we serialize it? How do we serialize this knowledge graph from triples into text? We have to figure out, where do we begin the journey, which is our title, our H1. Where do we end the journey? And so there's different layers, right?
True.
Contextual layers of the original question or the implied question that brought the user to the page. And then how do we answer that question first? And then how do we understand the next question that needs to be answered? And then the following one. And then how do we bridge them from one context to the other, to another, and then bring them to our source, to who we are, which is, maybe it's to buy our product or book a demo or to book a service or schedule something on the calendar. But eventually at the end of the narrative, we want to bring them hopefully through the informational journey and then position ourselves at the end of the story for the action we want them to take. And so if you kind of do it right, you end up taking that full knowledge graph, codifying it in the text, and then also doing justice to like the brand that you have, so that, let's say, brand 1, brand 2, both go through this process. They end up in completely different places because they're not the same brand in the beginning. Their products, their services, their positioning is different. Yeah. So the content ends up at the very end being different. And then, there's also the layers like stitching in like, internal linking and images, and there's so many pieces to it. Video as well, audio, schema markup, semantic HTML as well. So it's a really fascinating problem, and it's one that I've been thinking about a lot. When we've been doing data studies, I was curious, like, how much page one content on Google is AI generated, right? Have you heard a lot of marketers like being, hey, don't AI generate your blogs, don't do that?
Yeah, I heard that a lot.
Very common, right?
Yeah, and I think it's mainly for those who are like, okay, this is my article idea, write a blog. So I think that's more about those type of blogs that people would
brutal. The people that think that they can just go to ChatGPT and say, write me a blog about XYZ, you and I both know how misguided that is.
Yes, exactly.
Right? But it's hard to convince people. Then they think they're getting clever. They're like, no, I'll just do this in Claude instead of ChatGPT because I'm smart, right? And Claude will create for me my article. Also a bad practice, right? Because they're not doing the information retrieval layers. They're not actually creating the structure of the content. There's so many reasons that content ends up being inferior. But it's hard to educate them about this because I think, and tell me your perspective, I feel like people have stopped giving a shit about the written word. when they see AI content, they just see AI content and they're like, this is the same as that. Have you noticed this AI blindness problem?
Yes, I agree. That is like, especially if they see special characters, like if that M dash is there, for example, it's okay, this is AI generated and we don't like it or we think it's bad. But honestly, I think if we use AI in a proper workflow or in a pipeline, you can even generate well-structured articles. But at the end, I still believe that we need a human editor to view this, refine this, and then publish it. But it's still, AI can definitely even help with generating high quality and relevant content if we are considering all of the good steps, not just giving it one prompt and expecting a page one article. Yeah.
So since you've done this and you've gone through the pipeline of generating AI generated content briefs and some content, if you think to your time coding and building this, what are the biggest trapdoors? Like what do you think is the most common reason that the process goes off the rails and you end up with shitty content?
Okay. I think one of the important things is that maybe as an SEO, for example, this is a new topic for me and I'm not educated enough about this to understand, okay, this, for example, if my system says, for example, this topic about cold plunge, for example, is not relevant to home gym equipment. So I don't know about this. So, and then I'm not the expert here to say yes or no. And then I need to send this, for example, to the expert in client team for a review. That I would say that's a problem that exists here. And as SEOs, we're not expert in all of the fields, and that gap exists. It's hard to fill, but with help of client, maybe, or the expert that we have on our site, that's something that we can somehow tackle.
Lack of domain knowledge.
Yes, exactly. That's correct. That's one thing that immediately comes to my mind, but definitely if we think more about this, there would be other aspects to this. And let me think about it a little bit. So my brain is not braining at this moment for this specific thing, but yeah, the main thing that came to my mind, I think, is lack of domain knowledge for sure. Yeah.
I also noticed, like, if you start the content off wrong, with the wrong purpose, the wrong intent, the content will go. So for example, it'll create a blog when it should have created a listicle. Yeah. Right? Wrong content format, wrong content intent, right? True. And it completely misses the style of content that should have been generated.
Yeah, that's a really good call. True.
So if you come up with the wrong content format from the beginning, right, you're going to end up, you could do the best possible pipeline, the most sophisticated prompts, but you'll end up at the wrong place, right? And the human at the end will be like, shit, that's not what I wanted. True. So it's really important in the beginning to almost design all the parameters of what the purpose of this content is as it lives inside this brand's website to make sure that it's the right kind of content and it serves the right purpose.
Highly agreed. Yeah,
that's a tricky one.
Content format is really important, and it's in the workflow. We should really think about it if you're designing a pipeline, something like this, how to consider this. So really good call. Yeah, totally agree.
What do you think about landing pages? I mean, we as an industry, we're still really talking about AI generating blogs, right? When are we going to start talking about AI generating landing pages for SEO?
But I think actually that's a really good call. And I thought about it as also the workflow that, for example, that I have for creating the content briefs. I was thinking, okay, when we're looking at these keywords, maybe there can be an extra step that says, is this good for a blog, or is this good for a video, or is this set of keywords or cluster good for a landing page? So that would also, I think, be a good step to add into the process to think what is the real fit for this group of keywords, and if they're relevant to, for example, a landing page or or a product, then we can flag them and ask the client, are these relevant to your product? For example, they might say, yeah, if you found 100 groups of keywords, maybe 50 of them are relevant to our products, and let's create 20 landing pages there. And I think if we want to really scale this, it can also help with programmatic SEO as well. So it's like if you want to have like about 1,000 landing pages related to this, now we have done the keyword research with our pipeline and process, and we'll say, okay, these are like 100 ideas for your, or 1,000 ideas for your different landing pages. I think definitely it's doable. And especially with programmatic SEO, I would say that would help more. But if we're really targeting landing pages for a specific client, for customers, and we want to convert them, I would still say we need that human touch, because if it's going to be a highly converting page, we need that really human touch and the research and a good user experience. So the final answer, I think it works well for maybe programmatic SEO when we want to launch a lot of pages. But if we're really thinking about a page that needs to convert well, I prefer to do it at this stage with help from AI, but definitely the main work from a human and a well-trained user experience team.
It's hard though, right? Isn't it? Like humans building landing pages. Like I know with our web development team, and I love them. Isa, Aaron, you guys rock. But when a human has to build a landing page, it's a process. You got copywriters, you got a web developer, you got QA has to review it, SEO has to check the page, or maybe software is doing it automatically for you to make sure team got the H1s and H2s in. Everything can go wrong. The nice thing about a blog format is it's simpler, right?
Yeah.
And much easier to build templatized, information responsive content. When it comes to landing pages, I think as an industry, we haven't really seen that many people get into the space of AI generating high quality landing pages that are really well optimized. And I think not every search intent deserves a blog. Some search intents need more of like a landing page format, especially those that require like CRO and more interactive JavaScript elements and things like that, or eCommerce, for example, where we want to have like a add to cart button, right?
Sure.
But this goes way beyond the capabilities of like a typical WordPress template for a blog post. And so we as an industry, we've got this amazing AI technology. We know it can do amazing things in generating websites and landing pages and blogs. But I don't think right now the SEO industry at this moment in time has found a really effective solution for how to do this, because it's hard.
Yeah, I think it's hard, and at the same time, maybe the count of, for example, maybe on a page on a website you will have 100, for example, landing pages, but maybe 2,000 blogs, for example. How maybe and we are more focused on the content side when we're working with the clients compared to the landing pages, at least from my work. But there are clients.
We're afraid, like we don't want to have to sign on to get our web development team to build them 100 landing pages, because that's going to cost $100,000.
Yeah, and the expectation there is that landing page should be converting. So for blogs, that maybe conversions are for example, click on this CTA or do this and move to other page, which is more feasible. But when it comes to landing page, we want that high conversion, and we want to have a really system that it makes us confident about that. For one of my clients, actually, I created, they need landing pages and more than blogs, actually. And what it did for them here is that actually I created a template for the landing pages, which is, okay, this looks well. And the landing page now has different sections. I didn't fully automate this, but for the content of that also, I use ChatGPT with my prompts and say, okay, this is, for example, the header part, this is the why choose us part, and this is the information that we have. So give me the content, like 3 sets of ideas, and then I just directly paste it in their CMS. This is not the most efficient way, but it was the closest thing that came to my mind. It's like, still the template is good because we know it's converting well and the users are liking it, and all of the content pieces exist in this landing page template. But for filling it, we can use AI, I would say. So, but before that, definitely a good user experience should be there for a landing page, I would say.
100%.
And a dev team that creates a really fast loading, nice page, and then fill the content based on the ideas that you have for the landing page.
I think that's the one thing. In the next 12 months, we're going to see better solutions exist for us as an industry to create more bespoke, customized web page experiences that are not just blogs, that are also landers. But I want to ask you something, Amin, which is like, as we see how search is changing, we see AI overviews, there's less clicks going to websites, blogs, informational style content is getting less and less and less clicks. And that's been true for years and years and years. And I don't think that's going to ever change back. Maybe outside of YouTube, but for blogs. What is the future of AI blog content generation gonna look like? Is it still gonna be something that we do in a couple years down the road? Is this a stopgap approach to kind of an older, dying model of SEO? What's your opinion?
So, it's hard to predict because user behavior might change with another tool that comes to the market. But my understanding at this moment is that I see the future that we won't really spend time outside of, for example, ChatGPT or Claude or our preferred chatbot. It's like we will take the actions there, and also the AI chatbot will take actions for us as well. So, for example, if you want to book a hotel, say, find the best hotel rate for me, and then it will do it better than me. Especially if I'm not really, for tech savvy, I'm not familiar with the web and stuff like that. It will definitely do it better than me. And even if I'm really doing it well myself, still it will do it faster. Like if it takes me a day to
Easier.
do it, it will do it like in 10 minutes, give me all of the things. And then I think, for example, big brands like Booking.com, for example, or I don't know, Kayak, things like that, for example, they will integrate themselves into this. And then with a click, I can book the hotel from Booking.com inside ChatGPT or inside Claude. That's my understanding and how I feel and how I like it to be honest. So if we are trusting these LLMs and we want to take action inside them as well, and then without visiting Booking.com, they will get a conversion without visiting their website. And I think this means that we really might not really have the current user experience that currently we have on the website. Like, okay, go to the website, go to the menu, click on here, submit this form, take these actions. All of this should be able to be done. I mean, we should let LLMs or agents to do them for people. And then the final output is that, okay, conversion is happening faster and clients are also happier. And maybe part of that customer service can also happen inside those chatbot systems. So that's how I see it. And I think the role of searching and content creation, things like that, gradually might go down and diminish because people will not be really even going to websites. They prefer to take actions there. So that's my feeling.
Yeah. I think you're right. Like the open web the open web peaked 2 years ago, unfortunately. And the open web is going to get less and less traffic. It's not going to be a destination, right? We're going to be stepping into what I call the composable web, where our websites are these information artifacts that are consumed by the large language models as information fodder. And the LLMs are basically going to use our data as components to build like an AI mode web page. Insert this piece of data from here from the site, insert that module here, and they're just going to take kind of Mr. Potato Head, our information from our website, to build made-to-measure landing pages just for you and your query and your prompt. And that means less traffic to our sites. It means we can't retarget people, but the benefit of all of this is going to be there will be more conversions. People will be buying sooner and faster. The sales cycle will be less friction. There'll be less friction in that process. The other drawback, though, is that there'll be less transparency. You won't really know as well what's going on because these agents are not necessarily clicking to consume our webpage content real time, right? It's just happening behind the scenes. And so how do I know that I have an abandoned cart, right? You never click the button. I don't have the chance to get your email and get you in. So we're going to gain some benefits in this transition, but I think there's also going to be a lot of things that we miss in a couple of years. One of them being retargeting, one of them being informational content. The value that we used to get from that from a traffic perspective is going to keep diminishing over time. So I asked you, like, this process that we both have been committed to understanding content engineering, will there be a role for this in the future?
I'm not sure about it. I think it might change. So for example, I remember like 4 years ago, I was reading an article in Harvard Business Review. It was all before LLMs, things like that. And in that article, it was written, one day marketers will be doing marketing for AI. It was not clear at that time for me, but now I think it's just really clear. Maybe we're working to convince that AI tool to take the action that we want. So instead of now we're doing, okay, I will write this article, I will put this CTA, and then the user will read this. Say, okay, what a good article. I trust this website. They have high authority. I will click on this. I will book this. I will buy this. Maybe in the future we will plan, like my content plan is how to convince AI, like how to convince ChatGPT and then how to convince Claude, for example, because they might have different behaviors, different systems behind this. But I would say everything has the potential to change, and it depends on how these companies will evolve their tools. And I think a lot of change will happen and our roles will change. But the overall thing is that search as a behavior will remain. If human is not directly searching on a search engine, they're asking a chatbot to search for them. So it's still that chatbot. If you're searching, you need results for your search. And I would say maybe we need to optimize for those agents or LLMs, and even optimize the user experience of pages for LLMs. So it's like maybe it's something like that. For example, ChatGPT can plug into the website and understand what's happening and then get the output there. But it's still lots of problems can happen as well. They might be biased towards your brand. There might be some things that are out of control. But a lot is going to happen, I would say. And But I'm pro this changes, I would say. I like to see the changes because that's how world should evolve. So.
I like it staying interesting, right? It keeps us on our toes.
Yeah.
SEO has changed more in the last 1 year than it has in the previous 5 years or 10 years. So
True.
I like that evolution of it. I think it's making it fresh. And I also like the fragmentation because now, while some people are still optimizing for Google, there's a new class of marketers that are thinking about these LLMs and the geo optimization opportunities. And I like that. I like the fact that it's becoming more fragmented because it means that those who commit to really understanding that new discipline have an advantage over the old guard of SEOs. But, I don't know anything more than you about how it's all going to shake out. I'm just excited and eager that we get to witness this incredible transformation happening during our lifetimes.
Yes, it's really exciting. And I think it won't only be isolated or focused on SEO. It's like it will change the way people are designing user experience or, UI of the websites even, and also how pages should be coded. Maybe we need more cleaner code, easier to digest, easier to parse
less JavaScript
pages.
Maybe.
So yes,
more CSS,
exactly.
Uglier pages.
Yeah, and yes, exactly.
Do you believe in the dead internet theory?
Not yet, but yeah, maybe something like that would happen as well. So a lot that can, how it unfolds, we don't know, but I still think it's a positive thing that, will happen to us. So.
Right on, dude. Well, I appreciate you chopping it up with me. Cool insights. And if people want to connect with you, how do they find you online?
I think, my LinkedIn is there. So Amin Foroutan, if you search it, even on YouTube, search it there. And also just search Amin Foroutan. My website will be the first result. Then my LinkedIn, then my Twitter, then my YouTube. So, and I'm mainly active on YouTube and LinkedIn. So those are the best places to reach out.
Right on. We'll pop them in the show notes. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah,
appreciate you being here.
Yeah, perfect. It was great to chat with you.
You too.